Welcome to Tiger Tutorials. Today's the first technical tutorial for how to make a social networking site. We're going to be setting up the index.php page today. It is comprised of two buttons here: login, create account. Both look a little cheesy. I got that from Google Gmail, and actually didn't copy paste the buttons, but I got the design. And the logo I just made on Illustrator. Then we have our main and our sidebar here, and then a footer. So open up, actually first off I'm using a WAMP server, so let me just open the directory here. So I have it stored in social web, and then I'll put my scripts in here, and then I have a images folder. I don't have to worry about that right now. So I have my Dreamweaver open. I'm going to right click, new file. First off, since I'm going to be designing the page, I'm just going to make it an HTML file, and I do not want to make it a PHP file, or else you're going to have to do it in echo statements, and the echo statements don't allow you to have that auto completion feature that .html would allow you. So open up your HTML page here. This tutorial actually has a lot of CSS in it, so you may want to skip ahead at some points. And you can obviously make your own custom CSS. So we're going to first start off by a wrapper. Just going to completely wrap the page, much like this translucent or transparent wrapper here. So let's go back here, and then inside the wrapper we're going to have a table, and the table is going to be, it's not going to have any border, and the width is going to be 1000. Close out that table. And then we are going to start the first table area. I'm not sure what TR stands for. I think it's like table row. Yeah, I think it's table row. TD. And then we're going to put our division class. Remember, IDs and classes are different. So a class requires a dot notation when you're doing your CSS, and a ID requires a little numeric symbol in front of it. So we'll just make this social web, which is kind of like a fake name for what I think this is going to be. And my site's located on /social web because I have it on localhost since I'm running in the WAMP server. And then we are going to be putting the image in here, and we are going to have some space in between the image and the right side here. As we go back to here, the 300 pixels that we're declaring right now is going to go in between those. So we have our 300 pixels there. And then we're going to get the source of the image, which is basically just calling upon where it's located. So we go images / main logo .png, and I'm going to make the width of the image 400, and then the height of the image equal to 125, and then we're going to close that A, which is the link, and we're going to close the division. First off, the images, I have an images file here, and then inside the images file I have the main logo.php that we're using, and since this main logo.png is a little bit bigger than I expected it to be, we're going to have to kind of shorten it down to 400 by 125. That's a little bit bigger than that. So we come back down here to the TD, which is actually going to be right down here, and we're going to declare another TD here, another beginning of the TD. Right here we're going to put the division class header right, which is going to display those two create account and login. So we're going to make the href. I haven't found any. We haven't made any areas for login to go to, so we're just going to make it a default go to this page. That's what this numeric symbol means when you apply it to a link. So then we're going to make a division class login and display login. Since login is not it's not an image, even though it did look like an image, it is actually a division. So So do the next thing here for create account, and then we're going to close that off and put a division class equals create account, and then create account ACT BUT for account button. So then we display the text create an account, and then we are going to make the link A. We're going to close off the link that we just made, and then we're going to put in a little text here just to compensate for the space that was originally there when I originally created this HTML document. I had a little bit more space underneath those two create account and login buttons, so I kind of just put this P here. So we come back here, and basically what we did is we just added an image, put a division behind the image, put two buttons here, put a division behind the image, put a P tag, which is a paragraph tag, and that's what we just did. And we also put a wrapper around all that. So we come back here, and we are done with the table here. So now we are going to start the actual division main. So, and it's actually an ID, so division main. And then we are going to have a bold style equals color, and we're going to make it 666, and we're going to make it recent activity, and if I'm right, I think that's kind of ripping Facebook off, so I'm not exactly sure if that's a good thing to do. Anyways, so I just copy pasted this here just to speed up the tutorial, because I realize that I'm going extremely slow, and I'm sorry for that. And I keep on forgetting I have autocomplete on here, so that's another issue. So I have a division class equals sidebar, and since it's just a sidebar, I made it just a minor division. Let me just copy paste this news again. It's just filler text in here. And then I'm going to make a footer. So division ID equals footer. And we're going to be closing that off. And I didn't actually make a paragraph for the footer just for formatting reasons. It's kind of a messy thing to do. But it's just easier to design for. So it just displays my name, the home, create an account. These don't go anywhere. These will actually tell you that you're wrong. It'll be like a 404 error. So that's it for the HTML here. Let me come back up here for the actual CSS. So now we're going to be manipulating these IDs and classes. So, and for this, usually when I do design for HTML pages, I like to put my CSS directly into the page so that I can easily manipulate it. And once I've made all the changes that I want to the HTML, then I can then put the CSS into an external style sheet and reduce load time. So you don't want to have to load the CSS every time a person loads your page. So we come back up here, and let's just start off with the HTML, which is the entire page. And for some reason, I found out how to make the gradient back here cover the entire page. If I put the gradient inside this HTML tag here, it'll stop the gradient right after this last division here. So I'm gonna have to make another style here, another style tag. I'm not sure how this is gonna work out when I do an external style sheet. Could be that this is just a little glitch that hasn't been discovered yet. Probably not. But this is actually going to be used for the background, and only used for the background. So we have to make sure that we take into account all the different browsers that people are using. So we're going to have to declare 3 different types of redundant kind of things. that change the gradient in the back. So this top one I think is for Internet Explorer. Not exactly sure. I know that the next one I would be doing is for Firefox. Okay, so basically from black means that it's going to be starting at black in the top, and then we're going to be going to, and then we're going to make, I'm going to have to copy paste this hex code here. Control V, there we go. So it's basically saying take up 60% of the page from black to, and then this hex code which is brown. So this is for WebKit, which is Internet Explorer, if I believe. I'm probably most likely wrong. Copy that. Bring that down here. Then we're going to account for the Mozilla. So just add Moz, and then in linear gradient. It's kind of interesting because you take this linear out and put it down here for the Mozilla one, so we kind of get rid of the parameters that we're passing. So then we're going to add just top, black, and cut this stuff out, and then come here, 60%. So these all accomplish the same task, just for different browsers. You could just stick with one and call it a day, but it's kind of nice to make sure that everybody that's looking at your website has the same kind of impression. So let me just copy and paste this last one just for the sake of saving time, since they have a basic pattern. If I'm right, I just copied the same one, so I think there's only two. If I remember, there were three, but I guess I am being slow today. So we come back down here to the HTML, and this is actually where we're going to declare the font family for the page. And I'm going to make my font family Arial. So actually I have a different type of Arial on my notes here. So let me just copy paste that. Yeah, so I have Arial, and then gadget. If Arial's not available, then this gadget text will be, and if gadget text is not available, then sans serif will be available. So now we come down to background attachment, and background attachment has a role in making sure that the gradients don't stop right after the last division here. So it makes the gradient continue down. It's kind of a nice feature. Next up is the wrapper. The wrapper here is going to start off with a margin equals 0 auto width equals 1030px. These are kind of custom values here. I'm not really sure why I am typing this out. This is going to be available on my website, so it's not really a tutorial from here on. Except for you know, if you don't know these different declarations, then it'd be a good idea to pay a little bit of attention. So RGBA, we're going to be declaring a RGB value of the transparent wrapper. So we're actually making the wrapper right now, and the RGBA declares that there's going to be a translucency parameter passed here, so we're going to make it 0.4, so we'll be able to see through at 0.4, whatever that means. So we're going to have a border radius, which is also a this is one of the CSS3, which is a new CSS. So that's a cool feature that we're going to be implementing in here. Next up, we're going to be having the main class below here, and keep in mind that these don't matter what order they're in. So for our main class, we're going to have width equals 753px, float right, margin top equals 9px, background color gray. CCC is gray. And that's the shorthand notation for the regular hexadecimal. So we're going to be using a border radius equals 10px, which is kind of the golden number in this particular page. Padding and margin right are the next two declarations. 6px, and we can actually do a shorthand notation for these margins here. If I'm right, we can just do margin equals, and then go to the top reference here, px, and then the right reference, which would be like 6px, and top, right, bottom, left, so we go 10px, and then the left can be left at 0. So that can happen, but I'm not exactly sure if that was the order. I think pretty sure it was. So now we're going to be using shadows, and these are kind of a little bit longer. So I'm just going to copy and paste. So this is a Mozilla box shadow. It's inset. I'm not sure what 00 are. 5px and 5px, those are the amount of pixels inside the box here. And then 888 is the beginning gradient for the shadow. And this is the same thing distributed among these values here. So now we're going to be using the header, we're going to be making the header right declaration here. And this is going to be using, just put my notes up here, margin left equals 5px. Actually, I'm just going to copy and paste this because I can feel that if I were in your shoes, I would be a little disappointed because it's just redundant. So maybe we can pause the video and just take a quick peek at that. Just do the header left here, copy the header left, and then the footer, which is a ID, so it's going to be using a numeric code here, so V, so it's going to be 1000 pixels, margin top, blah blah blah, blah blah. So it's the same thing. Clear both means that it's going to remain on the very bottom. That's a good thing to put in your footers. Next up is our footer link. Not a very long one, but this just tells it not to put a underline on the links in the footer. And then our create account button. This is just going to border radius, background color, make the background color that, padding, border, so it's going to make the double border. No text decoration because it's going to be a link. Margin top, color, font size. Next one, login. Same things. Let's do sidebar. So sidebar, we're going to make it 220 pixels, and that's going to be to the left of the main. Margins, background colors, clear left. I'm not sure if this is absolutely needed. That was actually part of my testing before making this tutorial. So you could possibly get rid of that. Create account button, so that corresponds up to here, but when the button is hovered over, these different declarations are changed to these here. So you can kind of compare and contrast. And then finally, we have our login hover, which is exactly the same thing as create account button, but it's going to be in blue. So that is our basic setup for the entire index page. So if we go back here and we reload the page, we see that our page is fully loaded, except for create an account. Come down over here. Let me just bring that up here. Sidebar, main, footer. Yeah, I have a feeling that we are not. Copy. Put that there, save, and then let's see if we get these good result here. So yep, so it works now. So this is kind of a odd tutorial. You can find the script on my website. It's going to be in the link below. Next tutorial we are going to be setting up most likely the database for logging the users in.